Joining us now from Houston is terrorism expert Steve Emerson. Steve, good morning.
Good morning.
We did see security beefed up at subway stations across the U.S. In the wake of this bombing, as we do after something like this happens overseas. But frankly, Stephen, it never lasts. Doesn't that leave our subway stations and buses vulnerable on any given day?
Well, it's impossible to hermetically seal off suicide bombers from hubs of transportation, whether they be airplanes, trains, or buses. And of course, anytime there's an incident like this in Russia, where two successful female suicide bombers detonate explosives and kill dozens of people, there's always a fear of a spillover or a copycat effect in the United States. So we're going to see increased security for the next few days. And of course, as you just noted, it's going to wear off until intelligence, actual intelligence comes in and says there's a particular threat. And remember, Zaza, the guy from Denver, tried to detonate suicide bombings on subways last year, but it was foiled by the United States government because of informants inside the group by the FBI. The fact of the matter is that, ironically, a government agency issued a report a couple of weeks ago warning of the use of female suicide bombers of non-Arab appearance that al-Qaeda was trying to recruit to attack the United States, and also the use of explosives into breast implants that would avoid detection at airports. Those are worrisome factors. And as far as the Christian militia is concerned, very dangerous group. Again, the FBI deserves a lot of credit for cracking it, for having a confidential informant inside. It remains to be seen, however, whether in fact that type of armed militia group is growing or whether this is an aberration.
Let's go back to the subway, because it seems to me as though it's impossible, as you mentioned, to protect every single subway station and every single bus. But put this in perspective for us. How worried should we be as Americans? How big is this threat?
Look, we can only go on the basis of what we've experienced in the past. Last year, for example, there were 15 homegrown Islamic terrorist plots. 3 of them targeted subways or trains in New York. They weren't successful. They were foiled. But it shows that al-Qaeda or homegrown terrorists are trying to target subways and transportation hubs in the United States. So we cannot rest at all. I guarantee you this year you will see other efforts made by homegrown Islamic terrorists to target transportation hubs. Guaranteed. Whether they succeed or not is something else, but it's definitely remains an iconic target for Islamic terrorists.
And we've heard about Islamic terrorists before, but this Christian militia that you alluded to and that we reported on right off the top of the program, this is something new. How big of a danger do you think homegrown terrorists of Christian descent are?
Well, this group is dangerous, of course. I mean, their plot to kill hundreds of law enforcement officers was nipped in the bud. They were charged with seditious conspiracy. However, they opened themselves up to infiltration by stating on their website what their goals were, and they were white, so it was easier for the FBI to infiltrate. Now, as far as whether they are a growing threat, it remains to be seen, because the last time we saw growing armed ultra-right-wing militias was right after the Waco incident more than a decade ago. So this remains to be seen as to whether, in fact, it's an aberration or a one-shot deal, or whether, in fact, there are other Christian militia groups out there determined to wage jihad or holy war against the United States.
Steven Emerson, thank you so much, Stephen.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.